I have 2 weeks to paint a painting. Okay. I lied. I had 2 weeks to paint a painting. Spoiler alert. I did it. So, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope you guys are clapping on the other side of the screen. Because it was hell. But, welcome to my first ever YouTube video. This is going to be awkward and uncomfortable for both of us. As the title of this video says, as well as I said in the intro, I have 2 weeks to paint this. So, let's get started. So, before we get too far into the video, let's give a little bit of a background to what I'm painting. I'm doing a mural for Black History Month. I did the mural last year as well, and I wanted it to be a little bit more personal this year. I'll get more into that later, but for right now, I'm just gessoing it because I decided to paint this piece on metal. In order for it to stick, I needed to gesso it, but I go into more explanation about that here in a second. So, while I was gessoing this, my sister had a great question. For this mural, I wanted to paint my great-grandfather, who was 102, and I wanted some of you guys might have the same question. So to show his life, but I will go in more detail about that after I come back after explaining the gesso. Wood and other materials, other sort of fibery materials, cotton, wool, linen, are very porous, so paint can absorb through the layers of them, and how they're woven together is stacked on top of each other, so the paint has layers to go through. If you've ever taken a culinary class or worked in a kitchen, you'll know metal does not do that. Hence why they use it for surfaces, for cooking surfaces and in kitchens all the time, is because it's easy to wipe down and it's not porous for germs seep through and stains and things to seep through it. So in order for me to paint this and the paint to stay on it, I need to gesso it. But because I do want the metal to show through, I'm going to sand down the gesso in sections where I don't think I'm going to have figures at. So like I was saying, I am sanding the gesso back after I gessoed this board, I guess metal sheet, so that way the silver metallicness can still come through and show through under the painting once it's finished, because I really like how that looks. So giving more information about the interview process and everything, I asked my Auntie Kay to help me with interviewing my great-grandfather. He's 102. I did that interview over Christmas time. However, I needed this painting to be done by the end of January, and I didn't get the reference photos until January 13th or January 11th, or January 11th or 13th. So when I was doing the sketching and everything for this piece, I kind of was not working off of reference photos. I was using photos that I found pose-wise on the internet, and then I had to wait until my aunt was able to send me those photos to actually put my grandfather in. So for a lot of the sketches, they are general sketches of different people, and then I went through the pictures that she sent me and found pictures that worked and matched his pose to their reference photos I had. So with the sketches and things you're seeing here, I end up repainting over some of the face and things, because now that I had the pictures of his face, I still need to go back in and figure out exactly how I needed everything to look and stuff like that. So I'm sorry if you guys can hear the birds and stuff chirping in the background, but I really wanted to film this in the same sort of energy that I got when doing the interview with my great-grandfather. And when we sat down into the interview, he was talking about just his life and all the things that he did, his job, his grandchildren, his siblings. And from that, all I could really think about was how positive and happy his life sounded. And I'd like to think that that just shows that we as people are defined by not the hardships of our life. We don't have to be defined and designed by our traumas. We can shift and change and celebrate and remember the moments of happiness and joy, the moments of our friends and family coming together to help us through the hard times. And I learned from him that for me, being Black and being gay and being a man in the United States during this time as hard as all those things can be at times, I'm grateful for my friends, my family. I'm grateful that I even had the opportunity to talk with my great grandfather and learn about his life, learn about his kids, his siblings, hear about my grandmother, who I didn't really get to know well before she passed away, my dad, and hear about me, and hear that he knows about us and cares about us. And I really appreciated that. That is what it meant for him. That is what his life was. It was all those moments together. So to take a giant shift from the very positive, happy moment we just had, this baby, this baby right here was the hell I was talking about earlier, okay? I mean, as well as like not having storage and having to do with storage issues, this baby was so difficult. He kept coming out very weird. I know I talked about the painting being a mashup of different pictures, but this is a picture of my grandfather and some baby. We don't know who it is. We think it might be one of my uncles. We're not entirely sure. But this baby was hell, okay? I had so much trouble getting the proportions right. And you can see it right now. This baby looks very Uncle Ruckus-y. It looked very blackface minstrel. Yeah. Very not good. Very, very bad, actually. And I could not stand how bad it was, so I ended up just going back, and after trying to work on it for so long and doing all this detail that you're seeing me do here, I stopped doing that and painted its hands, and then came back and repainted the face entirely. So now you can see it here. It looks much better. It looks a little bit less like old Manny. It also kind of still looks like flat though and dead, which is something I will work on in the future, is just with painting babies. But that baby took me forever, and it was such a hard thing. Okay, but here we're like, I'm getting towards the end of this painting now. And at this point, I was really happy with how it went. I was also kind of annoyed because I was having all my storage issues. So like a big chunk of this painting was like cut out because I had no storage, and I had to like stop painting it because of the storage issues. And I really didn't have time to stop painting it, which I talk about a little bit later on in this video. But at least I think I do. I'm not really sure. We'll see. But with this area now, I'm really like I was able to fix the baby's face and get it where I wanted it. And I was happy that I was really getting likeness here. I have a really hard time getting likeness, not because I don't know how to like create it, but because what ends up happening is I don't push it far enough with like saturation. So then faces feel flat and they're one-dimensional. So I was really happy with like at this point that how everything was coming out and like looking and being able to capture not only my grandfather's likeness now, but also likeness and when he was younger, as well as still keeping things very loose and painterly, how I wanted like this piece to overall look. So I wanted to just explain this section of the video real quick. I'm pretty much talking about the fact that my memory card was full and I had to stop filming from the 13th to the 17th because I didn't have storage. But it kind of gets confusing in here, so I wanted to explain that before just letting it play so that you guys had a clear understanding of what I'm trying to say here. My memory card was full and I didn't have anything to transfer the storage room to, so I couldn't really film. But I also couldn't stop working on this painting. So there's like the snippets here and there in between those days, but overall, yeah, I kind of painted it for like a day, and then I stopped. Despite me just saying I couldn't stop, I stopped to deal with the storage stuff. And we're back. But I'm gonna give a little bit more detail on the other context of this painting, which I might have also talked about earlier. I can't really remember the days of belonging together. So, this is a mural. We did talk about that. For the mural, I did an interview of my grandfather. We talked about that. And I know myself, it means we've already talked about it. Okay. in those days when the storage was out, I also went to Hobby Lobby and ordered a plaque because what's going on here in the bottom is a plaque right there. We're gonna put a plaque there. I'm putting the plaque there so that way people can listen to the interview. It's gonna have QR code. People can scan it and listen to the interview whenever they walk by it or see it, or if they sit down and read it, they like to read the name on it and listen to the interview. Here's the fun thing that we're at now. I need to figure out where I want to sand this back exactly, so that way it can have, ooh, too close. So that way, I need to figure out where I want to sand this back exactly, so that way we can have more areas of like the silver popping through, and I'm not entirely sure about that. So yeah, while I get into that, I'm gonna like kind of think about that, maybe mark some areas where I want to have that happen at, and while I'm doing that, I'll explain it to you more with a little bit of a voiceover. So let's get it. So here I am just marking everywhere I want to sand the metal back. I wanted it to keep the natural lines of the piece and let it flow organically, so that way it wasn't causing a distraction. But after I got everything marked out, I just went ahead and sanded everything, which was messy, but fun. So, with that, I'm now done with this painting. And I feel amazing. It's great. I really hope my grandfather likes it. I'm excited to go to the festival this year and be a part of it, and like, it's kind of really being able to interact with the art world in this way. But more than that, I really just am grateful that I was able to create this piece and be able to honor my grandfather and like share his story, because I learned a lot about him through making this, and members of my family learned more about him from me making it, and I like to think that like that wouldn't have been possible without me taking that initiative to paint this and have this be the piece that I was doing.